Happy Sunday, folks. It's time for another weekly update. Some of what went on last week. The big thing was the budget. So we had our budgetary meetings with the full budget committee, the three commissioners, and three citizens at large. And we made it through with no personnel cuts. So it was a bit challenging. The timber money, the formula change that we've been talking about is not expected to come in this year, but start next year. So that put us in a position where we had to figure out about $1 million we weren't expecting to have to sort out, but that was achieved. Some changes in what projects are going to happen when. We had Before that, there was about $1.2 million in ARPA funds. Those are one-time funds that are expiring. That was the American Rescue Plan. But the thinking is with that change next year, that money is going to come in and fill that one-time gap. And then just standard increases. We should be in good shape next year. This year, we had to use some money from a reserve fund that is, well, the timber, but it modifies a formula that's pretty complicated to go through. It's not something you want to do in the long run, though. So it got us through this bit in the expectation that with the changes that have occurred at the federal level around the formula allocation for federal timber sales, combined with the increased harvest projections, we'll be able to be even next year. And at that same time, continuing to pursue the other things we've been working on, continuing down the road for Old Wagon Road to bring it back into production as a collaborative effort with the Coquel tribe. Had some inquiries around different industrial projects. Obviously, the PCIP is a big one that gets discussed, but there's other things that go on in the background, like hydrogen exploration has been taking place, changes as far as industry more broadly go. Some of those projects you hear about, but it's not stuff you can talk about because you don't want to interfere with the business process. Basically, if somebody knows you're investing, do other people step in? It's just one of those things that comes up. You don't get to talk in a great detail about some things until they're realized and the companies want to make things public. Let's see. Some of the notes, the fair did extremely well last year. They had a change in security provider, which worked out really well. Since the point of the last meeting, I was able to talk to the folks over in Myrtle Point and heard that new security company that was used for the fair was also beneficial for them, very easy to work with, very quick, and their improved gate control really helped bolster the folks actually paying for the event when they go to the event. And there was a change where the tickets included the concerts, and that was really cool. So yeah, big spike in participation last year. Parks was again able to contribute some money to the general fund this year. A lot of counties, and certainly the state, have trouble making their parks break even. We're fortunate to have a park system that can actually contribute to the general fund. So that's and not just nice that they can do it, but a testament to the leadership for that department. Solid waste was also another department that was able to contribute. But outside of that, and those meetings were, I know the audio is recorded. I don't remember if the video was, but it was available to the public to attend. So that, yeah, the long story short on that is the budget balanced out without any personnel cuts. So that was good. Had other meetings this week, though. Had one about the blue economy. There's a number of academics, I think mostly from U of O, but also some of the other universities that have gotten together to have meetings discussing the blue economy. And they were reaching out to get also folks that are not in academia to be part of this work group because they want to have people that aren't academics. We talk sometimes about ivory tower policies. That's when a policy is made entirely in the university setting and determined that's going to be the good thing for everybody else, but you need the people that are actually going to be interacting with the policy at the table, and I think that's what this group was trying to do. So I appreciate that they reached out. I'm going to connect them with some other folks in industry. I heard from some other people, one of the unions, that they're planning to attend or send somebody. So that is a good movement forward. It is different from the Prosperity Council, and the main topic they talked to me about was 100% fish. That's the process of using the entire fish, 100% of the fish, as you might guess, instead of just harvesting the meat and throwing out the carcass. Something that's done in Iceland. It came up at the Economic Summit, I believe it was last year. The South Coast Economic Summit last year. I think there was a presentation from some folks from Iceland talking about how they were able to turn, a $10 fish into like $1,000 fish with all the other bits and pieces you pull out, turning it into vitamins and supplements and that sort of thing, the oils. And the input I gave back to them, one of the things that I just happen to know from talking to folks is that there is a shortage of deckhands is a big issue for the vessels right now. And just looking at regulation as it comes down the pipe, how do we keep in mind keeping people at work while there's discussions around policies, preservation, that sort of thing. Example of that would be the group that came up recently and was trying to get the state to adopt or review policies around changing crab pots. They know they want to make that change related to whale preservation. They didn't necessarily know the spots where those whales happen to be, or that it would take out 1/3 of Oregon's fishing fleet unless a commensurate effort was made to fund those changes for smaller vessels. So trying to keep the full picture when they talk about these things. Housing Summit was also this week. Unfortunately, I was in budget meetings for some of it, but I was able to attend some of the Housing Summit and make some connections between folks that you end up knowing this person's working on this thing, this person's working on this thing. These summits are a good place where you can put everybody together. So I also had a meeting this week with between the Coast Guard and the Oregon Military Department talking about housing, creating service member housing out here, expanding the Coast Guard housing, and getting a sense of what they're looking for, at least from the Coast Guard side, what they're looking for when they're looking at expanding the housing system for service members. Because we have quite a few folks in the area, and I believe it was National Guard alone has 80 personnel in Coos County, or maybe the city of Coos Bay. But getting more of that housing built, it's another avenue to approach it from. It's a different pool of money. And if you can make service member housing, you alleviate compression on the broader housing market. So that was a good topic to have. I was able to connect the lieutenant commander from the Coast Guard with the housing authority locally, talking about how you get some units dedicated to the service members and where the collaboration can take place to develop more units. Because if you know you're going to have a renter, it makes it a lot easier to develop a unit. And connecting Coast Guard with an investor and a developer separate from the housing authority. Some of the stuff coming up next year, Oregon Military Department, it'll probably be 2 years out before the unit returns to the armory there in Coos Bay. Folks probably know it's been closed for quite a while. It was closed abating lead and asbestos. And with the Army transformation program, 2 years out is around. It should hit the time frame that it'll coincide with bringing service members back to the armory here. At which point, it's possibly another influx of people, so all the more reason to be working on housing. Circled back a little, I haven't approached it a great deal in the last 2 months, but the idea of income taxes coming back to cities and counties, going back into the math on that since we just finished budget, it's a good time to be looking at the numbers and what that number would need to be to alleviate the need for the state to manage so many grants and to provide the money directly to local governments. As we've seen for more than a year now, I'd just be generous on that one. State's not running itself so well. So yeah, I'm looking at how we make a proposal, and we'll have to work with voters to get something like that passed. What else do we have this week? There was a lot that went on, but it gets summarized real easy. It was mostly budget and a couple meetings around housing, but mostly budget. This next week is going to be catching up on some things, catching up on emails, and putting people in touch with each other more. And yeah, going down the road on some of these revenue generators now that we got through the budget again. I did mention with the sheriff's office some of the items they're looking at. They have to make some improvements to the jail. Some equipment is supposed to be replaced after a certain number of years, and it's well past those years. So we're going to connect with Energy Trust of Oregon as well, and some others, because if we can get some of these upgrades paid for with Energy Trust money, that's less money that has to come out of the sheriff's department. It makes the budget a little sleeker. So that would be good, and they provide valuable input on what the most effective solution to a problem will be. And pretty much all of the upgrades that need to happen at the jail are in systems that relate to energy consumption. So good opportunity not just to make repairs, but to optimize and improve. Yeah, it's going to be lots of those little pieces. After we get done with a big project like this, people that watch the meetings know that I'm always writing on something. So afterwards, I end up spending a day or two just going back through the paperwork I sketched on, consolidating the items I need to recircle on, and that's going to be a large portion of this coming week, is gathering everything that came up and filtering it back out as far as application goes. So that's the quick and short update this week. Lots of things happen, but they're simplified very quickly, and we will see everyone later. Have a good one.